U.S. stock, oil, and gold futures all down sharply during Sunday's early trading, indicating we're heading for another bloodbath coming up this week in the dumbest recession ever caused by an administration in our history. I'm Michael Popok, wearing the Wall Street hat again. Let's take a look at this administration doubling and tripling down on it. A golfing Donald Trump. I say that a lot because 11 weeks in a row, he's gone golfing. He's more concerned about the live golf tournament that's at his golf course here in Doral in Miami, Florida, than he is about you and me, our purse and our pocketbook. I care about it. Gold, oil, and stock futures trade in advance of the opening bell on the start of a week. And that indicates where we're headed. They're all down considerably. I mean, we're already at the $7 trillion. Listen to this number: $7 trillion worth of shareholder value was evaporated and eviscerated by one White House press conference in the Rose Garden. And then you've got these people who can't balance their own checkbook, like Marco Rubio. Look it up. You know, there's a course correction. It's a Donald Trump says while he's golfing in Florida today, he says it's going to be a really rough in the beginning, but then it's not going to be easy. But at the end, the results are going to be historic. Yeah, it's going to be a historic bloodbath for the Republican Party, as well it should be at the midterms. Look what's happening around the country. Look at the turnout for the hands-off mass mobilization movement. I didn't even know about it until 2 weeks ago. Hundreds of thousands of Americans gathered in all different places, did all different things, not just the public ones with the photos on the street. They did things behind the scenes. They made videos, they phone banked, they registered voters, they knocked on doors. There was a lot of things that were done on Hands Off Saturday. Donald Trump, I want hands off our economy. How about hands off my money? Now, he's rallied all of his people around him. Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, that's always putting his foot in his mouth. Big, beautiful beef in Europe. Okay, great. He said that 50 different countries have stepped forward. That's about half the countries that were levied with a tariff have stepped forward to negotiate, but there's no negotiating. Why isn't there any negotiating? Your formula is fakakta. We've already established that it's not a true reciprocal tariff. A reciprocal tariff means they tariff me at 20%, I tariff them at 20%. That's reciprocal. That's what the word reciprocal means. You should look it up. That's not what they did. What they did is a fakakta fugazi, these are all legal terms, look them up, formula of taking the trade deficit and dividing it by the amount of trade imbalance, and that divided then by half. What are we trying to calculate here? We're trying to calculate like how tall your baby daughter is going to be. Oh, it's the husband's height, the wife's height divided by 2. That's how you set a trade, a tariff, and it's even concerning to people like Elon Musk, who says that one day he hopes there's a tariff-free relationship between Europe and the United States. He just said that in Italy. They almost laughed him off the stage. The Republican senators who were not prepared, didn't have their expectations managed by Donald Trump, are now scrambling to try to reclaim the power that they have. Let me just say this again. I've said it in a prior hot take. The power to impose tariffs, excise taxes, and other quote unquote impositions is in the Article 1, Clause 8. And it belongs to Congress, not to the president. They hold all the bundles of sticks of power in that area. Now, the fact that they loaned a stick to the presidency, the executive branch, by way of a couple of emergency powers, international emergency economic powers and the emergency Federal Emergency Act, all that, they can take that stick back, and they need to take that stick back because Donald Trump declared a phony emergency, structural imbalance emergency among the countries because they don't, the Ivory Coast or an island that only has penguins is we're threatened by. And Donald Trump saying, good news, everybody, Vietnam is not going to tax us anymore through tariffs. Great. All the things that are made in Vietnam. What about cars? What about food? What about rent? What about things that, shelter? What about all that? And the fact that they are continuing to trot out this half-wit in Howard Lutnick as the Commerce Secretary with no economic background to declare a macroeconomic policy for the United States is professional malpractice. And Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, same thing. He's not even a major tariff guy. He got stuck with it because this is what Trump's always wanted to do. He's always, during the limited time he was a real estate developer and not very successful, went around the globe, he was always complaining about tariffs. Oh, it's unfair. I can't break into the markets in some of these countries. Oh, they favor the other developer. So this has been up his ass for a long, long time. But I love that could you imagine, as Obama said recently, can you imagine if a Democrat did any of this? Imagine if a Democrat tanked the economy at a press conference. What would happen? The pitchforks that would be out for them by the MAGA Congress or other people. Could you imagine if a Democrat, if Biden was caught golfing during effectively what's a war on America, an economic war on America caused by its own president. And he was out callously, tone deaf, golfing or playing tennis or riding his bicycle or whatever, right? They jumped on Obama because he wore a tan suit during the summer in D.C. Anybody been in the summer in D.C.? I'm impressed he wore a suit at all. And that's why we have got to continue to focus. But I don't have great news for the economy coming up on Monday. China is going to go forward on its tariffs on the 10th of April. They're not scared of the United States. They said it's not going to be easy, but they're used to things not being easy. And they're going to impose those tariffs. And for all those people, I've heard it on the street. Really, I literally have heard it on the street. Once the global economic partners and stakeholders adjust to the new world order of our tariffs, it'll be fine. They'll bake it into their decision making. I heard Marco Rubio say that. Again, the guy who can't balance his own checkbook or figure out a way to take out a loan for his own house. That guy is telling me how the tariffs are going to work. That's not how it's going to work. Those 24% across the board on average tariffs across 100 companies are going to destroy the supply chain, the logistical chain. And you know who's going to eat this? And who's going to get those tariffs passed along as in form of higher prices, a tax on the consumer? Americans. We have an administration that's running our economy that doesn't have an understanding of microeconomics or how what their policies are doing impacts America. There's no other way to put it. I heard Marco Rubio at a press conference a couple of days ago at NATO in Brussels say, we don't make anything anymore in America. We're a service economy. We don't make it. We don't have manufacturing. Midwest, Rust Belt, Farm Belt. You should listen to what these people are saying about what you do and do not produce. We're the number one producer as part of our gross domestic product of goods and services. And we need open markets in order to sell those things because America can't consume it all. You got like a split screen at the same time. Marco Rubio, we don't make anything anymore. And Howard Lutnick, they're not taking our big, beautiful beef. These are, too smart by half. This has got to be the dumbest, densest group I've ever seen trying to run the American economy. They don't understand the American economy. They don't understand the role of America in the American economy. They've taken the U.S. out of the U.S. economy. Let's cut the fuel line. Let's cut all the funding to all the states. Let's cut the funding for healthcare. Let's cut the funding for not-for-profits. Let's cut all the international aid with a U.S. job behind every one of those dollars. All at the same time. Let's throw hundreds of thousands of federal workers onto the unemployment line. Let's do it all. Have we completely wrecked the economy and sent us to a depression yet? No? Okay, let's do across-the-board tariffs and enter a trade war with China, Mexico, Canada, all our other trading partners, Israel. France, Europe. Why not? They're not fair to us. We need them more than they need us at this point. And all you're hearing is the stalling of the global economy. And the Republicans in the Senate are trying to figure out a way to clean up behind this elephant that Donald Trump has crapped all over the American people and its economy. I'm going to continue to follow it. I got to. When the opening bell happens, later today, I'll be back to talk about at the closing bell what happened, how the global economy is baking into their new thought process, how to react to Donald Trump and therefore America. And you know who's harmed in all of this? The working middle class. The working middle class that voted for Trump in larger numbers than they did the first time around. He's harming his own voters, as we've said over and over again. We don't harm our voters. We're here together, speaking truth to each other here on Legal AF. Until my next reporting, I'm Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok Firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.